This is a game on Mountain Pass in the Object 430 Tier 10 Russian medium from the South Spawn. I want to talk a little bit about how to approach this early game, particularly since usually what they'll do is they'll put a person up here or push a person into the bowl, which will spot across and get your team shot up a lot. So what we're going to do is try to counter that, and there's one of two ways you can do that. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to watch what our T-49 and T-71 do, see if they go into the bowl. If they do go down to the bowl, you take up one of either two positions. You either stay over here in this sort of G5 position and you give supporting fire, or you go over to this other side to this sort of H3, H4 position to give supporting fire. So we see our T-49 is going forward and our T-71 is still behind us, so it's a little bit indeterminate. But if neither of these guys go into the bowl, depending on the comp of the team, I will go into the bowl. See, our T-49 is definitely not going there. The T-71 is sort of coming up behind me, but it doesn't look like he's going there either. Although he is going sort of straightforward. We'll see. And so I'm going to go ahead and start going down there. Their 2801 doesn't actually go to the bush. He drives across, which is never that good of a thing. And so what you want to do if you're me in this particular case is not go too far to the east here. Otherwise that E50M can shoot you. I went just a little bit too far there. But see how I'm sitting on this side of the gap, so that the E50 can't shoot me, and then I can sort of back him off. And this WZ-132, I'm already within proxy range of the rock, so I'm protecting our guys that are crossing here late from actually being shot, and we're actually getting some pretty good shots in here. Artillery does a fairly good job this game of actually hitting targets that are lit, which is nice. When you look at their artillery's position, they can hit over by near where that E50M is. And so I just need to be careful at this point. If you are on this ramp area and lit, it is a somewhat of a low percentage artillery shot, but artillery can hit you there from their base. So you kind of have to be a little bit careful about how you play it. If you're the closer you are to this rock, the better. But if they have any hull down tanks, like if that E5 was where that E50M is, he can basically scooch forward and shoot me and then back up, and and essentially stay hull down. And our team really won't be able to do a whole lot about that other than artillery. So I'm sort of peeking here, and I'm keeping an eye on what our team is doing. It's always really important to make sure that they don't take that southwest, otherwise they're going to just end up shooting in the back. And we see that our team is kind of evenly spread out. We've got a couple of 10s in the southwest, we've got a 10 on the bridge, and we've got like 3 9s over on the ice road. And so I can just back off of this. I'm not really getting any meaningful spots or things to shoot at for our team to shoot at this point. So I can push up on this ice road, because when you look at the ice road, our guys are sitting a little bit too far back, but so are their guys. They're kind of in a stalemate right there. But that actually presents an opportunity for me to go up into this ice road area because those guys are so far back, and that'll give us opportunities to do a couple things. One, and we'll light for artillery. So if you look where their artillery is positioned, given how far back they are on the ice road, it will be fairly easy for me to light them. So that's where we're going to go ahead.
It's a trap!
And then all I really need to do is keep this IS-7 lit, and eventually, theoretically, artillery can hit him. I even requested fire. And if you are this IS-7, that is not a place that you want to be camping. Usually this entire quadrant is not a very good place to hang out. You either play further forward or further back. Playing here usually just gets you artillery unless your opponent's artillery really suck. And so if you watch their E50M, sorry, just moved through the bowl, but he's not in a very good position. He's in a position where it's going to be fairly easy for that Leo to shoot him. There's an E75 that's headed southwest through E5 right now that will have shots on him as well. This E75 gets a little bit brave, but he gets tracked up there. I shoot his other track just before he repairs. I guess I could have waited, but sometimes it's hard to time those things. And our artillery is whittling down this IS-7 a little bit. Somehow their E-50M is still alive and was allowed to move around to the backside of these guys. No comment. Their IS-7 is down to one shot though, and it's obvious that he's going to try to back up here, so I'm going to try to see if I can get the depression to shoot him without giving him too much of an angle to shoot me. And luckily he gave me a nice angle there. And this E-75 is very obviously backing off, and it's not really going to be fruitful for me to push him in a medium and trade, to sit there on a corner and trade against him. So I'm going to go back the other way and either take care of this E-50M, who's defying all expectations and just shooting our guys in the back because they're not really paying attention, or play this other side. Our E-75 is pushed up top here, but he's done it kind of foolishly, right? He's pushed himself essentially into a flank here with this T-30 E5 and the WZ, so that's not going to work out very well for him. So he goes from full health to 0 health in, under 20 seconds. And it's one of the perils of pushing up here without actually controlling other areas of the map. You see our three guys over here, the E5 came over from this bridge area, are now pushing over on that side. I know that they have some dudes over here, so I'm going to see if I can try to pick off this E5 before anything bad happens. So the E5 kind of has to be a little bit stuck out there. They do finally mop up that E-50M on the bottom there, which is always a good sign.
It's a trap!
And I know this E5 is still in the neighborhood, probably. And I know that I'm not getting pressured from the southwest, so I can take my time a little bit here.
It's a trap!
And then I'm going to reload before he does, so just take your time, get a good shot. So we know the T-30 is still up there, the WZ-132, not too worried about the WZ-132, so still going to keep peeking here, see if we can spot the T-30. We're losing this ice road here. Those guys did not push very efficiently at all. They YOLO a bat chat in here. I don't quite understand it myself, but that's fine. And then we've lost that ice road, so there's two 9s over here. There's a T-30 over here. We have a Leo 1 in the middle, but he has to be careful about how he pokes against this T-30. But all he has to do is slow play it, and of course he just gets himself shot instead, which is not good. There's still a T-49 on that side, but I kind of have to keep an eye on what he's going to be doing. And so there's an IS-8 and E-75 pushing here. I am 2-shot, essentially. The IS-8 is 2-shot for me, and the E-75 is 1-shot for me. The T-49 is pushing the T-30. I don't know why he's pushing into the T-30 from that position. I do know that these guys are going to push me eventually, so what I want to be able to do is catch them as they're sort of halfway to me. I don't want to catch them when the IS-8 is still all the way back there in cover. I want to get them in a position where I can get a shot before they have time to react, just like that. So now that the IS-7 is 1-shot, and I screw up my shot on the E-75, shoot it a little bit low, so it's a 0 damage. So now I'm 1-shot. So there's 2 tanks, and I'm 1-shot, but I know that the E-75 is reloading. The IS-8 is coming to get a to see if he can poke and get a shot, but that's not always the best thing. So I make sure I shoot a little bit higher there, and we're able to take out the E-75. The T-30 is taking out the T-49, and I'm fairly certain that he's going to be right here. So I click the map for the artillery to look. The T-30 rushes his shot, and then he backs off. And then so the problem that the T-30 makes is that really he should have just pushed down into me, because I'm 1-shot to him. I can't kill him before he reloads anyways. But what he did is he backed off there. And so all I have to do, I don't have to challenge him right now. All I have to do is just proxy him. Right? I've got 2 artillery within position to shoot him. I get myself artillery safe by pushing up against this rock. So Their artillery is presumably still in the cap area. There's no way that he could shoot me. All I have to do is keep this guy lit. And eventually one of these guys are going to shoot him, or the T-28 Proto is going to be able to come up behind him. So there's no rush on my part. So if you're this T-30, you still, you can take a shot, come down here and kill me. But he doesn't. He waits, and that's sort of a bad move, because the question that you should always be asking yourself is, what am I waiting for? Am I waiting for my artillery to change positions and be able to shoot him, or what? So that's something that you should always think about. And then I'm fairly certain that their artillery is going to be back in this area, if not running away. So you never want to be driving ever straight towards the artillery. You always want to be coming in an angle. So I always go out to one side and then come back and zig across the other. You don't ever want to be driving in a straight line too much. And then we see that he's on that corner, which is not a problem. Artillery are very easy to beat on corners, which is why if you're in artillery, you don't camp corners. You camp outside of proxy range from a corner, and you wait for somebody to drive all the way around. That way they've committed to the turn, and then you can kill them. So the moral of the story is that you can push this bowl if you don't have light tanks to do it. If you do have light tanks to do it, or if you do see a tank that does it, you should give them fire support. If you go into the bowl, don't go too far to the east. You want to try to stay on this west side until you get over here. Otherwise, you're going to get shot from here. And if they have a lot of tanks that can hold down, like that E5, and if they're in this position, you don't want to necessarily push up onto the ramp. You can proxy the ramp from, you can proxy this rock area from the other side of the ramp where you're relatively safe, and that's usually a good thing to do, because it helps protect your team from as they're crossing. And our team wasn't exactly full of world beaters, but they did a good enough job of actually moving down into this southwest area, in part because they weren't being shot at, which is always nice. And then what you'll notice is that I didn't continue pushing up this ramp. Once I saw that it wasn't really going to get me a whole lot in terms of getting me shots or getting my team shots, I went over here and I pushed this other stalemate over here on this ice road, right? So we had some tanks back here, and they had some tanks back here, and they were both playing pretty far back. But basically what that allowed me to do is to push up underneath them, allow our RD to RD down that IS-7 to one-shottable range when I was able to take them out, take out the T-34. Their E-75 backed off, at which point I don't really need to press that, and then I can come back and deal with the rest of the team. And then the rest of it is just sort of reading and reacting to what you see. And so if you look at the stats, wasn't like a super damage game or anything, but the important thing to note is that, we did relocate a lot. We did make sure that once we weren't creating opportunities for people or for ourselves, so that we went someplace else and tried to make something happen. And a lot of it is just reading the map and knowing where the tanks are, knowing where your tanks are, where you're going to have support from, where you're going to be attacked from, and things like that. Knowing that IS-8 and the E-75 are eventually going to roll after you is important, and knowing how much time that you have in order to deal with that also becomes very important. So anyways, I hope that was helpful for playing Mountain Pass from that south end. And again, you don't always have to go into the bowl. You can go into that southwest area. You kind of have to feel it out depending on what your team needs you to do, based upon your comp, their comp, how many RD there are, how many light tanks there are, etc. Anyhow, hope that was helpful, and thanks for watching.